Hi, everyone, and welcome to We Are Crotchety Old Men.
And a woman.
And we are here. It's a beautiful morning. It's Sunday morning for an early morning podcast. Um, I just want to say thank you to Abigail as we yesterday celebrated Valentine's Day. We had first we had a big roaring fire, and I took Abigail to Sweetwater Tavern.
One of my favorites.
That's why we picked it. Then we had some chocolate cake, and now we're here enjoying the day. And do you know what today is?
No, what is it, Arden?
Well, besides being the first weekend without football, according to the National Food Registry, it is National Drink Wine Day.
So it's the food registry, and they're talking about wine. Is wine food?
According to them, well, it's made out of grapes. So grapes are food. So yeah. So every day is something.
I guess.
I mean, they have like National Peach Cobbler Day and National this day, and some are really disgusting. But one was like National like Turnip Day. Yuck.
Do you want to take the challenge and always do what they say the day is?
I want to see. Okay, we will announce the National Day of Food going forward. But today is National Drink Wine Day. So everyone, if you're hearing this in the morning, feel free. Drink some wine today.
Well, I have a shout out to someone that I know will enjoy it. So there you go.
Are you going to give them the shout out? Or are you going to leave the entire world hanging?
I'm going to leave it anonymous.
Oh, nice. So this podcast we're not crotchety anymore. In fact, actually, as you notice, we did change the name to We Are Crotchety Old Men and a Woman. I'm going to be changing it again.
Really? You didn't consult with me?
Yes, I'm actually going to say We Are Crotchety, either We Are Crotchety Couple or I am a crotchety old man and a woman. With a woman, something like that. What do you think?
You lost me with crotchety, so.
Well, I am crotchety at times. But anyway, so happy belated Valentine's Day to everyone. We are going to be spending a good time on Abigail's football recap, but we're at a time where there is no sports right now. Or is there?
It's sad. I mean, you do have college basketball, but until you get to the March Madness, it's, not that great to watch, in my opinion.
Well, today is actually pretty cool if you're a hockey fan. So today at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, so for those in the West Coast, it's 3 p.m. Eastern Time, the Stadium Series is in MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, where the Rangers and Islanders are going to be playing outside in front of 80,000 fans, which is pretty darn big for there. They've played a couple games in baseball stadiums, but this will be the biggest crowd on the East Coast for those teams. There was a game, I think, in Penn State already, and I don't know where the Pittsburgh Steelers play, but there was a game there. But I'm a huge Ranger fan, so that'll be fun to watch. But there's also, we have coming up on March 30th, starts the UFL. And I know I've talked about it a lot. The DC Defenders, who we are fans of, and we are going to go to a couple games this year, hopefully. There's not many. The UFL, it's the XFL, in case you didn't know. The XFL merged with the USFL. And so there's one league, 8 teams. Sadly, there's no teams really on the Northeast, which is kind of surprising.
Mm-hmm.
But they're hoping to expand if things go well. The Defenders were selling out every game last year, which is fun, and they got their quarterback back. What is his name? Tomao. I'm really bad, but he was the MVP last year of the XFL. Also, a college baseball, not basketball, college baseball. I'm not going to talk about the Terps. I apologize, Mr. Fawn, because he's a big Terp fan and they just stink. But anyway, college baseball, there was an incident a couple days ago that is mind-scratching and funny. And I actually have to sort of read it. So There was a game between Loyola Marymount and who was the other team? Sacramento State. We're playing a baseball game, and one hitter, it was a doubleheader, one hitter in 8 plate appearances got hit by pitch 7 times. 7 times the poor guy got hit. His name was Matt Mazziangelo, nice Italian guy. But he was an outfielder. He didn't get hurt, and the pitchers on the other team were not ejected. So he got hit almost every single time he came up.
Okay, was the first hit in the head or something?
I don't know. He just kept getting hit over and over again.
You got to be a little out, out of your mind, especially after the second one.
Yeah, I mean, usually there's rules in baseball where after the third hit by pitch, the pitchers are automatically ejected. So there should have been ejections, but according to both sides, by the way, the Loyola Marymount, not a single player was hit back. So they said it was completely unintentional. They didn't mean it, just bad luck. So NFL football. Abigail is chomping at the bit with all of her stuff. So there was a lot going on because there was some kind of game or something that was kind of important. What's it called? The super duper bowl thing. What's that thing called? The
What do you mean?
I don't even know. What's the game? I hate football. The NFL.
I mean, other than the commercial for I can't say his name. Rob. Yeah, we'll call him that. For FanDuel, he kicked the field goal again this year and he missed a second time.
When did that happen?
That was on a very small commercial break.
I don't even remember it.
And it was very, very small, short clip. And at first, you didn't even know what was going on.
So Abigail and I actually did watch. This is the first Super Bowl I actually watched. When did the Giants play the Patriots? That was a few years back. That was the last Super Bowl I watched. So this is the first time that I've watched the Super Bowl.
Wow.
And the only reason I watched that is because back in the day, as I've mentioned previously, I was a Dolphin fan. So I literally prayed to the football gods that the Patriots would lose so they would not be undefeated. So that those 1973 Dolphins are still the only undefeated team ever.
With an asterisk, right?
No, because later the next year they won 3 more games. So they've actually, well, they still held the record for the longest winning streak.
Fair enough. Okay, let's talk about the game.
Talk about the game.
So, I really didn't necessarily have a favorite to win, but I was leaning more towards the 49ers. And, my brother texted me, around the third period and said it was quote, the most boring Super Bowl ever. And I had to agree with him. And then some people, wrote articles and said, well, when it went into overtime, it was so exciting. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, the game ended on a thud, in my opinion. It was a play at the goal line. Yeah, I believe it may have been 4th and 1, but the dude was simply wide open. A 10-year-old could have thrown that pass and scored the touchdown. It just would have been more exciting if the defender had at least been on him to challenge the pass. So, I mean, you watched it, didn't it? Was like a thud.
And wasn't there some kind of controversy, like the Niners and the coin toss or something?
Oh, essentially, the 49ers had to admit that they did not know the new rules for overtime that began at the beginning of the playoff season. And they made a huge mistake by accepting the ball and not kicking off for the initiation of the overtime. And as you know, I mean, they went down and they were only able to score a field goal.
Right.
And at that point, the rule was if the other team scores and it's higher than 3 points, the game is over.
Right.
But I believe the issue was they believed that even if Kansas City scored more going down the field with their first possession, that the 49ers would still get the ball back to be able to score more points. Well, again, that's pretty bad when you're supposed to be a professional coach and you don't know the rules.
Right. And so the advantage by getting the ball second is you know exactly how many points you need for the tie or for the win. So if the 49ers didn't score at all you need is a field goal. If they score, which they scored a field goal, they needed a touchdown to win, a field goal to tie. And the key was that they now know they're not going to punt, obviously, on fourth down. So they now have 4 downs every series to go down. The 49ers didn't. So the 49ers would go down. So it looks like going forward with this rule in place, you're always going to be the team that kicks first.
Yes,
Because
that would be the
so that's the common
analytical. AWS.
Yes. So wow, we got a lot of texts happening at this moment. So this is so if you hear any chiming in the background, I apologize. People are reaching out to us right away because I did let people know that we're doing this podcast this morning. So we had a lot of interesting stuff. So there was also like a bump with
we need to address that.
The
Kelsey,
bump of Kelsey.
You know, who I personally think is an excellent. I think he's an excellent player far before he met Taylor Swift, and you know, but everybody saw it. You know, he's yelling at Coach Reed, and he actually bumps into him intentionally. Well, you know, everybody, including the coach and Kelsey after the game, blew it off like it wasn't a big deal. But a lot of people, talking heads, and myself, found that to be unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
You know, I mean, I know he's one of the best players in the NFL, but to whine because you didn't get in on the play where the fumble happened and act like if he had been on the field, it wouldn't have happened. It's just so arrogant and bumping into the coach and even just yelling at the coach was simply unacceptable.
Now, speaking of completely acceptable, you did some research on how much money the NFL may have made causing because of the Taylor Swift effect. How much was that?
Well,
roughly?
First of all, the viewership for this Super Bowl was higher than when the U.S. landed on the moon. So
highest television ratings ever.
Correct. And the NFL supposedly ran some numbers, and they believe the Taylor Swift effect yielded $1 billion in additional revenue for the NFL, as though they didn't need it.
Right. So I was thinking about this. So you probably have a bunch of boyfriends wanting to watch the Super Bowl, and their girlfriends are like, I don't really like that. So now, because of Taylor Swift, this is my own opinion, that based on absolutely no knowledge whatsoever, that all of these now younger ladies are saying, oh yeah, let's watch it. And they're watching it for Taylor Swift. Now, what I noticed, they actually showed, they didn't show her that often, believe it or not. But they did show the highlights of what they were showing in the stadium. And there was one part where she was having a beer chugging contest with another woman. A famous person. I'm terrible with celebrities, but they were chugging beer. For some reason, that didn't go on the main broadcast.
It was a replay.
But you know what? I could see. But how many boyfriends at that time are going, oh, great, Taylor effing Swift. Like, now I have to buy my girlfriend a Chiefs jersey, or my wife now has a Chiefs jersey with Swift on the back. Or what's Kelsey's number? 87? Is that it? Yeah. Or Kelsey Swift jersey. It's awful.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you simply have to look at it this way. Football is entertainment, and certainly what Taylor Swift does is entertainment. She has a huge, huge, huge following. So NFL, just Kelsey, is not nearly equal to Taylor Swift's fame.
Right.
And you have this merging of it, and it's simply going to be there until they break up. And even after they break up, will be coverage nonstop on the two of them. And I read yesterday that his brother said that he had just bought a house, Kelsey,
Hmm.
the boyfriend, and he had to move out pretty quickly because of the paparazzi.
That's unbelievable. And now I actually had another question for you that I'm not. Oh, did you so uh so here's a question. This is a Taylor Swift question that I don't know. Now, does she do any acting or dancing?
Well, she certainly dances.
Okay, I don't know
I don't
any.
know about acting. She's been in a movie, but she dances, very choreographed. And, she started out as a hometown country singer, her and her guitar. But as her um, career expanded, she
Mhm.
went into pop. And, her show, especially the Eras Tour, is all about entertainment. And certainly they do a lot of dance
Got
routines.
it.
And I believe that they're going to have the Eras Torn on for streaming soon. And I must admit, I'm going to watch it.
I will try to hide from that, but I feel like I'm going to be forced to watch a few minutes of it, just for this podcast sake and knowledge. But the reason I was asking is because in the old days, like their entertainers had they called them like triple threats.
Okay.
You dance, you act, you sing. Like Sinatra, even Will Smith, great example. He can dance, he could sing, and he was an actor. So the reason I asked about the acting was to find out if she would be the first, quadruple threat, where she even does more than like Sinatra for them.
I don't think so, but she knows how to run a business, and maybe one day she will be in acting.
Well, I will give her and Travis Kelsey a lot of credit for something not, well, sort of football related, as there was that shooting during the parade. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey combined donated over $300,000 to the one woman's family who was shot. Even though I'm not a big fan. I don't want to say I can't stand him because I don't know anything about him. But even though I'm not a big fan of those two, that's an awesome thing to do, to donate money. And last point about Travis Kelsey, and then we're going to talk about some of these commercials during the Super Bowl. Travis Kelsey is now going to be producing a movie, and he wants to be the next Dwayne the Rock Johnson. I mean, he's a decent looking guy. He's 6'5". He wants to be the Rock.
And no offense against your eyes, Arden.
Aw.
Kelsey's eyes are just gorgeous.
Yeah, got the blue eyes.
And you're saying this is what's wrong with women.
Yes, yes. Just enjoy what you see. Guys don't look at eyes really. They're looking at other body parts. And then again, yeah, he's also 6'5" and I'm like 5'10". Great, got no chance. Anywho, so let's talk about some of these commercials. Was there any that stood out to you? Any fun? I thought they were rather dull myself.
I've always been a fan of the E-Trade ones with the babies.
Right.
This
Yes.
one was brief. I didn't think it was as good as previous years, but it always cracks me up.
Now, what was like the number one and commercial?
The number one, I'm not sure. I do know that the Dunkin' Donuts commercial was right up there in the top two or three. Apparently, Ben Affleck started the commercial on the last Super Bowl, and then this year they brought in his friends, including Matt Damon and who else?
It was Jennifer Lopez, and they were like the Dunkins for Dunkin' Donuts because he's always seen drinking Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Ben
Right,
Affleck.
but I thought even Tom Brady may have been in that commercial.
Yeah, yes, Tom Brady. I just like Matt Damon. I'll give him credit. He was like, "Why am I here?" I told you, like he was like, "Yeah, this is the favor I'm doing for you," because they were dancing. They wanted to be on her next record. That was a fun one.
So they did announce that they have a new Dunk Kings drink that is going to be an iced coffee drink. So we'll see if those sales take off.
Well, we'll see. And then there was the Schwarzenegger commercial
Oh,
I
that
thought
was the number one.
that was number one. That was with Danny DeVito. I thought that was lame.
I did too, and they played a couple versions of it during the entire Super Bowl.
Right. I was like, why am I like, oh, it's reference to twins. I got it. I
And
thought
then
it
the
was.
halftime show, which I didn't watch, I had to go take care of stuff. But I heard it was pretty lame and got very poor reviews.
Yeah, it was just Usher dancing around, and then some other guys came out. And now I'm not a fan of halftime shows. I used to love the Who, and I remember them coming out, and I was like, this is awful. The Rolling Stones, like they used to have like older big bands. They need to go back to the original with the marching bands. Grambling State with the first marching band in a Super Bowl. Bring that Grambling State, Grambling University, just
Okay.
Grambling, and have them come out. I mean, you're in these giant venues. Do something back. Have the Army band play or the Navy band. Do we really need these entertain? Like, how many people go? I'm going to watch the Super Bowl just for the halftime show. How many people do that?
Actually, you'd be surprised.
What is wrong with people these days? The commercialism. Speaking of more commercials, what was there any other ones that were funny?
I don't know about funny. I was a bit disappointed with the Budweiser commercial because they didn't have the dog.
Oh, that is true. They didn't have the dog or the blood. You know what was a surprise though? So Disney has all of the announcing like their movies and doing the movie reviews.
Hmm.
There is a Disney movie out right now that is going to be the lowest earning Marvel superhero movie ever. It's called Madam Web. You're not doing well when they don't even put a commercial out for you on the Super Bowl. I mean, these were Marvel movies: Spider-Man, the Hulk, Thor, Captain America, Madam Web. And it's being bashed for being, once again, too woke. And it's going nowhere. It's going to make the least amount of money of all the Marvel movies. And I was very surprised. I did see Deadpool 3, which I am going to drag Abigail out kicking and screaming to see because I do like the Deadpool movies. So just wanted to make sure you knew that. So let's see, is there anything else about football? Oh, there was some weird question I had for you. Who, okay, number one, who is CJ Stroud? He's like a
Um,
quarterback or something?
yeah, he's a quarterback,
And
and
who's he play for?
I think Houston
The Houston Texans. Okay,
Texans.
because there was an article about him possibly dating Amber Stroud, who Amber Rose, Amber Stroud. Wow, I got them married already.
Amber Rose.
Amber Rose, who's like she's like almost 20 years older than him,
Huh.
and she's like a dancer, a musician, an actress. I don't know anything about her, but I was like, I once I saw it like C.J. Stroud, quarterback, dating a woman twice his age. I was like, wow, that's interesting. And then I was like, but when they announced Amber Rose's age, I felt really old because I'm like 14 years older than her. Oh my god, I've really gotten old very, very, very
Well,
fast.
we are old, and that relationship, I'm sure, just didn't get enough press because, hey, they stunk as a team and they didn't go to the Super Bowl.
Right.
But it would never live up to the hype of Taylor Swift, who is one of the wealthiest singers on the planet.
Yeah, and she's set for life, and good for her. I have no talent like that. I mean, I can only catch $4.50 of quarters, which I will go back to eventually and try to break that $5. I haven't practiced yet. Now there was other news, but I also wanted to talk about really fast a segment I'm thinking about introducing to us. It's called This Day in History. Now, I have to say, this was yesterday when I read this, called This Day in History, where we had the very first, because the first two presidential elections wasn't party versus party. Washington obviously was unanimous, and then John Adams was also unanimously voted for president. So we had the incumbent John Adams running against two other people, Aaron Burr and Thomas Jefferson. So I thought that was fascinating. So now Jefferson won, and he was what they called a Democrat Republican, believe it or not, and Adams was a Federalist.
Mhm.
Now, the weird part was it was the first time, I mean, we're in an election season. They actually had like all of these scandals. They were blaming each other, like spending money. Um, and it actually led to the point, it actually started years later that 4 years after this, so
Mhm.
Jefferson beat those two, and Burr was accused of spreading rumors, and Alexander Hamilton got involved. And that actually, this was what led to the duel between Burr and Alexander Hamilton just 4 years later. This was the starting point. I mean, okay, put that in today's context. Can you imagine President Trump and President Biden having a duel? like out of the, like just, I mean, first of all, it would be funny if they had Nerf guns.
Well, Biden, did say he'd punch Trump in the nose if he could.
Yeah, we'll get him behind the woodshed or kick his ass. That's a horrible Biden. That was actually the worst. But I mean, Biden, like, imagine him chasing you. Yeah, so it was the first time, but it was the scandals, the false advertising, because they didn't have any laws back then, so they would just blame each other on spending and corruption and fascinating. So that all started yesterday. I did not look up today because I did not know we were having a podcast in the morning, so I didn't do it. But what do you think? Do you want to start? Should we do it this day in history? We'd like to hear your opinion. As you could tell, we did not do any food testing today.
No, we did not.
So quick review, Sweetwater. What did you have, and what did you like about it, not like about it?
Well, the spinach artichoke,
Artichoke?
yeah, artichoke dip is excellent there.
Okay.
But the main reason I go is for the Aussie rolls.
And you got to tell that story.
And I always want extra butter. So the dude was in such a hurry, and he just stopped by and he was like, "I'm going to bring you bread." And I immediately said, "Oh, we just want Aussie rolls." I said, "But I want extra butter." And he said, "Double order of Aussie rolls coming your way." And he took off. And I was like, I didn't mean that. But nonetheless, instead of 4, we got 8. And I managed to eat 5.
And we also got 4 things of butter. Like, that was a lot.
It's never enough.
Never enough butter. And then what'd you have for your main course?
Oh, I just had a salad because I knew I would fill up on the Aussie rolls.
You should have just said the rolls for dinner. That would have been a really cheap date.
I could have.
And then you had a drink,
Yes.
which had a stick in it.
Yes, it was a piece of bamboo.
It made no sense.
It was
A mojito?
Yeah, it was a mojito, but for beach thing.
Right. And it didn't have any mint in it because you don't like mint.
Even though the mint is really the main ingredient, I didn't want it in there.
And so what is the significance of the bamboo? Like, I was really confused by that.
Well, I think it was called a coastal mojito.
Okay.
And I don't know. It was interesting, but I just used it to stir up my drink.
Got it. I went with a pork chop. I love a good pork chop.
And it looked fantastic.
Now, growing up, we had very thin pork chops with the bone on it, with a little seasoned salt. That was my mom's favorite thing to serve it on. So we had seasoned salt on a pork chop, and that was good. And then we came back. We had some chocolate cake that had a picture that looked like me on it, which was pretty funny. And then we had a roaring fire, and now we're here this morning. So it was a really nice Valentine's Day. Now, going forward, we need your help in coming up with some ideas. And we've had some really good ideas for possibility for taste testing. So we want to know. So this is a couple of them. One is trying the one chip challenge. This was suggested by Alfred from episode 2. He actually said we should try the one chip challenge where you literally get like one Dorito kind of thing, but it's ghost pepper. You can order it on Amazon. Mr. Fun, I know you were looking for that. It's on Amazon. It's like $35 for one chip, but it's covered in ghost pepper powder. Can you eat it? That's the whole challenge. The second one was actually getting different cereals from when you were a kid or other foods from your kid. Great example. My brother and I had a Twinkie like last year together. I haven't had a Twinkie in decades.
I'll go one further. I would go after Little Debbie.
Oh, Little Debbie's.
I mean, they had a lot of products. You know, we didn't get Ho's.
I
You
love the good.
know,
Oh no, I like
I mean, I
Rolos.
loved Ho's, but we, you know, as kids, we got the Little Debbie, which was your, you know, cheap generic version.
Right. They were
But
good.
boy, their oatmeal pies, just to speak of one.
Good stuff. So we're thinking maybe we try food from our youth. So for cereals, we're thinking Count Chocula, Captain Crunch, and Abigail wants Honey Nut Cheerios. So we're gonna try them and see if we still like them or if they're just absolutely nasty now that we're
Well,
adults.
you know, I don't, as an adult, I really don't eat cereal, but I remember very clearly that I certainly ate a lot of Count Chocula. So I'm looking forward to that one.
We also have one we should try generic brands versus real brands, like Rice Krispies versus Crispy Rice. Or a great example, the Honey Nut Cheerios versus whatever giant brand, Food Lion, Stop and Shop, whatever they have. Then we have another idea. This is from Mr. W, not me, not John, not a few people down who I know. Mr. W wanted to know about taste testing different barbecue sauces. So that was another one. So let us know what you think we should try. The ghost pepper kind of scares the hell out of me because I'd have to do that towards the end of the show in case I have a heart attack. I don't want to die online, die while Abigail's trying to take over. But tell us what you like. We are crotchetyoldmen@gmail.com. We are crotchetyoldmen@gmail.com. Or you can follow us on X. Oh, we just got another text. And oh, that was from CBS. My gout medicine is ready. Sorry, Mr. N has been texting me a lot today about it. He said, when are we going to have Daniel back on the show? Because he would be great at taste testing. Because one last story before we got to go, Joe Biden was talking about shrinkflation. And you had Daniel talking about that in episode 2 of our show. So Daniel, way in front of President Biden, talking about shrinkflation and the size of ice cream. And remember, he was even talking about Turkey Hill ice cream, and President Biden had Turkey Hill ice cream on his display. I thought that was pretty fascinating.
Okay, it's apparent that Arden hijacked this show.
I did. I
mean, I guess I hijacked with the NFL football, but I wanted to talk about the DA Fanny lady. But that's just going to have to wait until next week. And they are going to have another session, so I'll have more material about that.
I can't wait because that was so entertaining. And it was at like 5 o'clock. I got home from work and I was watching the whole thing. So we will talk about DA Fannie Willis, as Greg Gutfeld says, what you talking about, Willis? Going back to those 70s, early 80s references of Different Strokes, which was a classic for those of our younger listeners out there who have no clue. But we will be talking about Fannie Willis next week. We might be, who knows what we're going to be talking about next week with all the news happening. So we are crotchety old men.
And a woman.
Have a great day. Watch the hockey game tonight. It's going to be fun. And we'll see what we can do. Oh, yeah. Do, do, do.